My name is Marcus Lyon. I'm a British artist and I create human atlases. The Human Atlas is an endeavour to bring a nominated group of individuals together to tell a deeper story about their identities through visual, spoken and genetic information. So why Brazil? Brazil has always fascinated me since I was a little child, and in my adult life I travelled and worked extensively across the Americas. This has given me an opportunity to see how differently those from the North and South self-identify. While those from the North hark back to a sense of motherland, those in Brazil are simply Brazilian. In addition, when I met on a bus in India and married a Brazilian and we had a couple of Brazilian children, I had the father's opportunity to go and discover and explore the nation of my growing family. So Somos Brasil is a deep dive social impact art project that endeavours to bring the voices of 100 remarkable Brazilians together in one place. We built the project on a nomination process, which we conducted over 6 months, where we asked a raft of different people across Brazilian society to nominate individuals who were moving the needle and making change in the villages, towns and cities of the country. The reality is that these people were making a difference, sometimes very small, sometimes very large, but they were endeavouring to co-author a more hopeful and positive future. So these individuals were brought together, contacted, they gave me permission to come and visit them and then photograph them on super high-end digital large format cameras. I then recorded their personal testimonies to broadcast quality sound and mounted that onto an image activated app. Swipe your device over the face of the portrait and the person will talk back to you.
Meu nome completo é Andressa Souza do Nascimento. Eu utilizo pseudônimo artístico como cantora, que é Euterpe. Eu nasci em Boa Vista, Roraima, em 1985.
So in some senses, we are giving a voice to the voiceless. We're trying to engage the viewer in a more powerful relationship with the subject. And in doing that, hopefully reflect on what roles we actually play in society. On top of the sound and the portraits, we also did an ancestral DNA test on everybody who was in the project, and then we mapped their journey to Brazil, their migration journey. So the final piece is bringing the 3 pillars of identity together: genetic, spoken testimony, and visual portrait information together to tell a deeper truth about individuals and thus give us a mirror to our own roles in society. One of the great joys of the Somos Brasil process was the fact that everybody who was nominated had been brought to the project for their exceptional work. So as an artist, it allowed me to have this extraordinary adventure, visiting their spaces, their towns, their villages, their cities, to witness their work and then tell that story to a much wider global audience. And in truth, that was and still is one of the great honours of my life. A project the size of Somos Brasil is really about bringing multiple people together. So I think the credit list in the back of the book runs to about 200 plus people. So what you've got is you've got field assistants when you're out in the middle of the jungle in Brazil. We traveled 22,000 kilometers across the country. I had producers working on the nomination process for 6 months. I had people booking our flights and our accommodation, and there was massive backup. But perhaps even more importantly, there was this huge group of people who engaged in the nomination process and in stepping up and being present for the photography. So there are 104 people who helped us, who are simply the people who are the subjects of the book, let alone the 50 or so people who were our key nominators, who introduced us to most of the people that we got to meet and photograph. So I have to credit a huge number of people in the project. I'm the author, I'm the driver of the idea, but without this much wider production team, pre-production and post-production team, simply wouldn't be possible. We went to some wealthy suburbs of some of the cities, but we also went to some of the poorest favelas in some of the most desperate corners of Brazil. And wherever we went, we were welcomed, we were fed, we were watered, we were given the most remarkable hospitality. It was full of adventures. We went to the furthest flung edges of Brazil. We were on the Paraguayan border, we were on the Bolivian border, we were on the Venezuelan border. We went everywhere. It was remarkable. We were not without incident. My producer got dengue fever during it, so she was very, very ill, and we had to nurse her through that while we were on the road. But I think that the overriding impression for me was the absolute remarkable generosity of the people of Brazil as we traveled around. In terms of the post-production, this in many ways, in terms of most of my projects, is the longest and most arduous part of the journey. I was very, very lucky because I had the incredible Jim Sutherland and I had the extraordinary Matt Hill of the Daily Rethink. Now, Jim and his Studio Sutherland, is quite simply Britain's premier graphic designer. And he took on the Somos Brasil project as a personal journey with me. And we took it from the initial ideas through logos and designs and structures right through to a finished book and exhibition design. His input, and with his assistant Alice Tozy, was just remarkable.
If you start with this idea of, you top the flag, you move this out there and do this, and it makes this sort of semi-figure. So it's about Brazilian portraiture. Once you have that idea, and then you're looking at this flag and it has this beautiful constellation, of stars in the middle of it. And then in the book itself, we plotted where all the people had been born. And then you look at it and you think, well, if we do those as stars, it's quite small, so it's not sort of overt. It draws this sort of slightly invisible shape of the whole of Brazil within it, but it reflects back to what the flag's done. But it's a constellation about, Brazilian people.
So the book was published in March 2017, and we first exhibited it in Brazil at a cultural institute in the heart of Sao Paulo. It was very important for me for both launch the book and the exhibition in Brazil. It was all about Brazil, and we needed to respect that. And it really lit a flame under the search for a deeper understanding of what it meant to be Brazilian today. It then travelled to China, where it exhibited at the Pingyao Photographic Festival, which is the major photographic festival in China. I believe 10,000 people visited the exhibition in its first week. It was an incredible location in an old diesel factory in this UNESCO World Heritage Site. So very, very exciting for me. Whenever the project exhibits, I always say to the galleries or the museums or the spaces we're exhibiting in, I really don't want to miss out on anybody. This project has to be shown in its entirety. We can't always do that, but my belief is that, if you are part of Somos Brasil, you stay part of Somos Brasil. We don't leave a single man behind.
Fico com o presente entre o passado e o futuro. fico com o presente, entre o futuro e o passado.